but as I've said, lots of interest in these boys. And that's D'Artagnan with the collar on, his radio transmitter, and so that they can research this group. It's lovely that they do have one of the musketeers, and so they can follow their movements, etc., and gain valuable knowledge about these cheetah. They seem to be a very close-knit unit, and look at that, a little bit of allo grooming, re-establishing their bonds, keeping very tight. And I'm sure that with that enables them to take on very big prey. And I've heard that they take on wildebeest, which is, and especially the larger version of the wildebeest, because I knew down in the Eastern Cape, a little reserve that I was managing there, we had a coalition of 3 cheetah, and they used to avoid the lions, so they used to go up. It was almost a case like what we have in the Mara Triangle, where we've got the escarpment there. It was very much the same in this reserve. We had the Highlands Mountains down in the Eastern Cape, and these cheetah were very lion savvy, because they used to go up onto the mountain, and whenever we saw them, oh, look at that, he's marking his buddy. Well, that's all part of the territorial scent, isn't it? So they used to go up on the side of the mountain and to the top, and whenever we saw them, we knew that they were hunting, and they specialized in hunting black wildebeest. But we knew it was every 4 or 5 days that we would see them, we would follow them, they would kill, they would eat, and off they would march back up on top of the mountain, and staying clear of the lions and the hyenas. So they were very clever in that, and I'm sure that these 5 boys are quite savvy around that as well. But obviously, as a very big group and a large coalition, they are quite dominant, and so there is a lot of marking and spraying, and it doesn't go amiss even if you spray your buddy. So it's not, us as humans, we get very worried about urinating and defecating, and for animals it fulfills a very important function, and so the smell that they put across is very important. Now, Gabushka, you're wondering about that collar on D'Artagnan, how long it will stay on, will it fall off, or does it need to be removed? Now, I'm not seeing him just now, but if we do get a closer look on him, we will see that there he is at the back. Okay, so when we are able to see it nicely, I'll show you that there's actually some nuts and bolts that are holding it together, and it's a leather strap, a very thick leather. It's obviously difficult for Craig to follow and show you nice and closely there, but it's got some lovely nuts and bolts on there, and the batteries normally last in excess of a year. So that collar will stay on for at least a year. And when they start, the signal starts dropping on the receiving end, they will then obviously activate the vet, and he would need to be darted, and either the battery replaced and the collar put on, or they would then say, okay, that's enough, and they would then take the collar off of them. But that's what normally happens, and they wouldn't be leaving it on for excessive amount of years, because obviously they would have to dart him to remove the battery and replace it, and you don't want to be anesthetizing, especially predators, too many times, because it does affect their heart, and so the vets would take every precaution not to affect him in any negative way, and it's normally once or twice that they replace the battery, and after that then they've received all the amount of data they need, and they will remove the collar altogether. But these guys seem to have moved on a little bit, and I'm sure we're going to follow them in a moment, but it's nice that they've done their little bit of marking, and now they may be going to move on, and who knows, maybe we'll get to watch them hunting a little bit. That would be very nice, wouldn't it? But nice to also watch them walking away from us. get every angle that's possible, and it's so nice with 5 of them. It's almost like you don't know where to look if they split up a little bit. And we've got so much content and subject to talk about with them. Lovely to see. They are actually very big cheetahs, some of them. Now, Ravinda, you're wondering if cheetah plan their prey? Well, Ravinda, it does come down to a little bit of opportunism and seeing what is available and the most easy prey to take from there. But with a coalition of 5 males like this, it sounds like they've started to specialize a little bit in wildebeest, which can also start to happen. And I'm pretty sure that Miale, I think that she's started to specialize in hunting young topi. Sorry about that, folks. That was somebody that wasn't really watching that we were filming, but not a problem. We take it as it comes. So they can specialize a little bit and decide what they want, but they also, it all depends on how hungry they are as well. If they're very hungry, they sometimes can take what they can get. But it seems, as I say, with 5 of them, they can start to be a little bit picky, and it all depends on how empty their bellies are as to how picky they will be in entirety. So that is very interesting indeed. And I haven't been able to follow these 5 in the coalition just yet, so this is the first for me, and it would be lovely to see what they do take interest in terms of prey, and it's going to be wonderful to see what they finally decide on. Maybe that happens today, maybe not. But while we catch up with our spotted cats, let's send you on down to Tristan, who is in search of one of those rosetted cats.
I am trying very hard, Ralph, to find some semblance of rosettes, but so far nothing. So I've just been driving the Mulawati, trying from sort of south to north and trying to go as far as I can and just see if maybe Tundi's lying somewhere in these areas and has found herself a new den site that she's using. There's so many little places though that she could be hiding that it's really tough to know exactly where she is. And so it's basically what we're doing is much like what Scott and I did before Christmas. It was just to drive these areas as much as possible until we bump into her. Once we bump into her, then we'll have an idea of where she is. So it's just going to take a bit of time to just kind of negotiate all of these thickets, all these drainage lines, or we get lucky and she's on a kill somewhere and we can follow her back. But until then, we're going to have to just try to be a bit proactive about it and try and kind of drive through the drainage line and just try and see if we spot her maybe lying up on under a bush somewhere or lying on a bank somewhere that she's then potentially got a den site in. Now, a lot of you will recognize where we are now because this is where her old den site was. So we've gotten to that point in the Mulawati, and we're going to continue to try go a little bit further north. And the reason why is because I suspect maybe that she's taken this cub somewhere into this northern side, although when James last saw them it was south of where we are now is where they headed. So it could be that she's utilizing somewhere south, or she could be somewhere north. But given that we just came from the south, we didn't see any sign of her there. I looked for tracks, no tracks that I could see in the riverbed areas, so I don't think she's south of us. But like I say, you never know, given that she can be a little sneaky, and sometimes you can drive right past her without even knowing. Right, well, I'm going to keep going, keep sort of moving up the Mulawati, seeing what I can find, and while I do that, let's go back across to Taylor McCurdy, who's having a lot more luck than what I am this morning.
Well, Tristan, that's a change, isn't it? From no cat McCurdy normally to has all the cats today. But unfortunately, I think our luck has run out with these lions, but they did put on quite a show for us. It was quite a beautiful spectacle with all those elephants passing through, but the elephants have now gone, and our lions, as you can see, have put their heads a little bit lower down to the ground. So what we might do is possibly head to try and find the two marsh the two other lioness that we often see with this pride. And if you missed, there we go, you got it. There's the other lioness. So there was a third one. And like I said to you, she ran across the lugger. Anyway, she ended up chasing out a warthog. It was so far away and it happened so quickly. And she missed the warthog maybe by a couple of meters. The warthog was just too quick for her. And then it got away. So lucky her. So I don't know where she's gone. She might have just actually sat down and had a rest because she did quite a long sprint. All this lionesses looks like she's seen something. But everything is so far away from them. And again, they're going to have trouble because the grass is short here. It's during the middle of the day. Unless they use the luggers and the termite mounds and the small shrubs and keep low, they're really not going to be successful. I think they've been trying most of the night, and I think they're getting to that point now where they're just like, we have had enough. We are tired. We've missed 5 warthogs already in the last 6 hours. We need a break. I think that's what's actually going on at the moment, because the fact that they keep standing up and exposing themselves just says to me, it doesn't look like they really mean business. Or they might be waiting for an easier opportunity, but they could be waiting all day long for that. Sometimes you do have to put in a bit of work. And you know where they need to go? Is they need to head to that forest where we saw all 5 of the marsh breakaway lionesses taking down a warthog together, because there the warthogs just ran straight into them and they could use all the shrubbery to lay nice and low. So let's go and do that. Let's go and see if we can find those other 2 lionesses, and perhaps they'll show us how to hunt. I've got a good feeling with lions today, but if we see any gatherings of vehicles, we'll of course come racing back here. There were some people who came to have a look at them, and then they just kind of disappeared. They moved on off. They didn't want to hang around for too long. We were basically heading in that direction. I can start to see a few elephants here and there, so there must be some that have arrived in the marsh already. Just quickly check it. I can see all 3 lionesses now. I'll stop and show you very quickly. Well, they've all come back. We've also got some banded mongoose that are moving around here. But basically, should we start on the banded mongoose and then scan along the lugger? Because then we'll see where everyone is. So just in front, right in front of the car, this little termite mound. Yep, you got it. To the right, the termite mound. No, other right. Keep going. There we go. So those are banded mongoose that are living in this termite mound. They've only just woken up. They've been laying low, maybe because of the lions, maybe because it was a bit chilly this morning. I'm not so sure. I don't see any little babies, though, like we did the other day. I wouldn't expect them to be out so early, though. It'd be a little bit too cold for them. So I don't think this is a good area for these lions to hunt in anymore, because the mongoose will make a sort of a chittery noise when they alarm. And that will tell all the warthogs. Oh, my goodness. And there's spur-wing lapwings here. So I think that these cats are going to have to move out if they want a good chance of catching anything. But then if we scan the lugger to the left, we'll start to see all the lions popping out. There's one. And then there's another one to the left. You can see she's fast asleep. There's another one. Oh, we'll have to go back to get the other one. We've missed one. So that's the one that's laying furthest to the left, and then if you go to the right again, back towards the lugger, there is another one. A little bit more to the right. There we go. There's the other one. And I think that the cubs have been stashed in this very same snakes a little bit further to the north, and I reckon that's where they've stashed them. They normally leave their little ones. Whee! Just make 100% sure. There's a couple of warthogs here, but these warthogs have all seen these lions. They were the first ones that they chased when we arrived, and I'm sure they've been up and down most of the morning. Okay, well, well, we're going to go to the marsh. If we don't find lions there, we should hopefully find some elephants, maybe some babies playing and some birds. Let's go back down to the not so sunny South Africa to Noelle and hope she's keeping nice and warm.
Taylor, I was on a bumble and then I bumped into these warthogs, and I wish it was sunny, but not quite yet. Thank goodness the drizzle has stopped. Just check the size of the tush on the right-hand side warthog there with the little, what looked like a yellow-billed oxpecker there. I just want to triple check that. No, it was a red-billed. Sorry about that. Red-billed oxpecker. That female has huge tush for a female. I'm impressed. I'm very impressed. All right, so now usually warthogs run away when we see them, and so it's one of the reasons why we don't always show them to you when we're live on camera, as we'll see them and then it takes a little while if they're not already on us. Now these guys have decided to just be themselves, but in our space, which is very, very, very nice. I don't know why. I know they can see us and they understand us and they understand what we are and what we're about. And I think warthogs are so good and managing to keep away from predators that to stand still for too long, even though we know they know we're not going to do much to them, is just Did you see that? They sneezed and then it scared the other one at the same time. I'm sorry, that's hysterical. It doesn't behoove them, it doesn't make any sense for them to stay still for too long. Now here they go, they're going to do their typical little warthog run, little tail in the air there. Remember, that tail in the air is not a follow me sign, as a warthog's eyes go more towards the bum end, but that's to get that little bit out of the way so that it cannot be hooked by something like a predator, like a cheetah for instance, or a lion. Now because this wind is blowing, they can't quite figure out exactly where they want to run to. And I think Mum's also a little bit, there we go. Here goes Mum and her youngsters from a few seasons ago. She finally did decide where she wanted to go. What I was going to say is she couldn't quite figure out what she wanted to do because of the swirling wind and because we were sitting here and they were feeding, and then she decided it was just too much. That was absolutely fantastic. Not something we get to see every day. A little sounder of warthog. That's the collective noun. So we had our raft or our pod of hippos this morning and our parade of elephants and now our sounder of warthog. And you had coalition of cheetah with Ralph and a pride of lions with Taylor. Now we just need the leopard whisperer Tristan to find more than one leopard together, and we'll have our leap of leopard. So everyone, don't forget, because we're live, we're coming to you live, not just from South Africa, but also from the Masai Mara, and we're interactive. You can send through those questions in comments, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or just type them into the YouTube, and we love to hear from you. And don't forget, it doesn't have to be a question about anything that we're looking at on camera. If you've got other questions about guiding or about, sub-Saharan Africa in general, or if there's any of you that have been with us for a long time and you just want to say hello, please do. We do enjoy it. Tristan's managed to find a fishing bird, so I think let's head on over to him, because that sounds like that might be interesting to watch.
I have, although they do eat fish from time to time. They actually target a lot of other different things as well, so you'll see them going after a lot of crustaceans, crabs, and they'll even go terrapins sometimes, and freshwater sort of snails they go after as well. But they are the most interesting bird that we have out here in terms of beak shape, because they've got a very unique beak, and you can see how it works is basically it's a big flattened end to it. So the spoonbill, as it is called, has a very appropriate name given that its beak does look just like a spoon, and it kind of goes along with its beak open. And as it feels things, it grabs them and then swallows them very quickly. Now, obviously, it's finding a lot of food in there. What it's actually eating, I'm not quite sure. Maybe tadpoles. It could be going after those, because the frequency of which it is swallowing would mean that it's finding food fairly easily. Now, like I say, what those could be is quite difficult. Tadpoles would be my best guess, given that it is swallowing as quickly as it is and finding food as easily as it is. So that was what I would imagine it's going after. But aren't they cool looking birds? I think they're cool. They've got that beautiful white sort of feathering and then this pinkish maroon kind of beak that they have. And this spoonbill seems to like Gari Dam. It's here fairly regularly. I mean, it's not here all the time, but you see it here fairly regularly, and it kind of comes down and does its thing for the morning or the afternoon, and then goes off towards another dam. And don't see it much, funnily enough, at twin dams or at Treehouse, which is quite interesting. See them at Chitwa Dam and see them here at Gari Dam. So it must be some sort of food item, and the depth of the water must be just perfect for it to be able to find what it's looking for. Yes, we're talking about you. Stand up straight, smile. There we go. Well done. So that was its quick pose, just to make sure everybody could see exactly what it looks like and make sure that it shows itself off as best as possible. But other than that, there doesn't seem to be too many other birds around Gari Dam. In fact, it's very quiet around here, eerily quiet actually. There's very little that seems to be happening. I wonder if maybe the leopard from last night gave everybody a bit of a fright, and that's why no one's around. Dr. Rob, you say this is your first spoonbill sighting? Well, I'm glad. That's very good. Spoonbills are a very cool bird. I love seeing them. I think they're super cool. I like their beak shape, and anything that's slightly different is always attracts a bit of attention. So nice to see, and always good sign that there is stuff going on in the water and that there is food items. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see things like saddle-billed storks starting to come in here again, and few of the egrets and herons. When there's a spoonbill around, the other birds often will see that and they'll start coming and trying to feast on whatever the spoonbill is managing to get. So it'd be nice to have them around, and like I said, they're an interesting bird, that's for sure. So Kathy, you're wondering if the spoonbills here get pink feathers like the ones in Florida. No, so two different species. Our spoonbill here, or the African spoonbill, stays white like this. We do not see it getting pink at all. The one in Florida is a different species of spoonbill. So it's like you get different colorations on different herons. It's the same thing with the spoonbills. There it is slightly different, and so we don't get pink ones. Yours ones are pink and ours are white, which is quite nice. It's nice to have different ones, I think, anyway. It's amazing how deep they put their head underwater. You would think they wouldn't want to get their feathers too wet, but as you can see there, that spoonbill is not at all concerned about dunking its entire head underwater. And you can see also that it doesn't rely on sight. So it's not like a heron or this open-billed stork that we saw hunting the other day, or the wood storks, the yellow-billed wood storks. These guys are primarily using sensory beak, and so touch is basically what they're going after. So they're using the sort of feeling of their beak rather than eyesight to be able to catch fish. So it's a very different hunting strategy, like I say, to the storks and the herons. Now, talking about storks and herons, yesterday morning when I was behind Chitwa Dam Wall, when it started to really come down with rain, it's such a pity because we had the most insane birds back there. It was really nice. We had a massive saddle-billed stork, and in amongst the saddle-billed stork was two of the greater painted snipes, and there was a green-backed heron in there as well, a couple kingfishers, our black-crowned night herons were there. So it was amazing just to see all the kind of birds behind Chitwa Dam. So hopefully I'll be able to go back there at some point and all of them will be there still. But it was really nice to see that our greater painted snipe has managed to find a mate. So for those of you that don't know, we've had this greater painted snipe female that's been around twin dams and then been seen recently around Chitwa behind the dam wall there. And it seems as though it has found itself a mate for the summer, which is very, very good news. It means that hopefully they'll breed, and maybe we'll even get to see little painted snipe, little eggs at some point, or nest, or chicks at some point in the future, because it seems as though that particular female has stayed here pretty much all the way through winter. We were seeing it still in around May. I remember seeing it, I think somewhere around there, and so it seems to have just stuck around. It doesn't seem to have moved too far at all, or migrated, or anything like that. Right, well, I think our spoonbill is just going to carry on feeding as much as it can. So if you're enjoying watching the spoonbill feeding along, then carry on watching on the dam cam. It's always a good place to watch these things. I was also hoping that while we were sitting here, we'd get some semblance of an alarm call or some sort of sign of anything around, but it is seriously quiet. There is very little going on. In terms of other updates that are happening around the place, we've got the Styx Pride and 2 Birminghams. For those of you that have been wondering about the Birminghams and the Styx, they're all on Torchwood. Apparently they're on a kill. What they've killed, I'm not quite sure, but they are feasting on Torchwood just north of Gari Main in Coral Boundary. So that's where they are at the moment. Hopefully by tomorrow we'll see them coming in to Djuma and spending a bit of time this side, it would be nice to see them. And there is a herd of buffalo on Torchwood as well, for those of you that are interested in our beefy buffaloes of this area, because we haven't seen too many of them around. So hopefully they'll move this way, and that will bring the lions this way as well. Right, now I'm going to leave my spoon bowl, and my complete lack of cats for this morning is glaringly obvious, but somebody who hasn't struggled is that of Miss McMuddy herself.
We have got our next lioness. How cool is that? I merely put it out to the world that I'd like to find a lioness at this forest, which you should all see as being quite familiar now, because I spend a lot of time in this area. And here she was, but I don't know where the second one is, but it's not uncommon. We often see them on their own. And I'm just scanning. She's looking around, and this is a warthog hotspot as well, but I don't see any pigs in the vicinity. But I may just be missing them. They could be behind all the shrubs. That's definitely a possibility. She actually doesn't look like she's showing too much interest in anything now that I look at her with my binoculars a bit closer. I think she's just gazing off into the distance, kind of that 1,000-mile stare. There's some topi very far away. I doubt that's what she's gazing at, though. No. She doesn't look like she's too thin. I think she might have a bit of a belly. When did we see them? Was it yesterday? Not yesterday morning, the morning before, where we had them with the hyenas. Yes, with the hyenas, with the elephants, with the baboons, with the impala. There were lots of different animals around in the corner of the marsh, so they weren't very full then. So they've obviously caught something between 2 days ago and today, which is good. Doesn't look like anything enormous, otherwise they would still be feeding on it. But maybe they caught a warthog, and it was just enough for the two of them. However, I'm not sure where that other lioness has gone to. She might be in the forest. Or maybe she's out walking around. But it is getting quite warm now. She looks a little bit on the lazy side, doesn't she? Yeah, maybe they caught something late last night or early this morning even. Maybe late last night. It's a bit hard to tell, of course, I'm just guessing. But no warthogs, where are you? I'm seeing, because the last time I missed the warthogs that were here, I didn't look with my binoculars, I was just looking on the monitor. And sometimes they're sneaky, you just see the odd tail poking out behind the tree or a log or a shrub. I'd like to know a little bit in advance before anything is going to happen. But you're dozing off. Okay, well perhaps we'll do a little drive then around the shrub. Let's go have a look around and see if we can find anybody on the other side. There might be. Just checking. So the way this road goes is it essentially comes out on the other side of the forest, so we can look back through. Maybe maybe we'll be able to see that other lioness, or she could be in here. Yesterday, not yesterday, goodness, it feels like forever ago. The afternoon before yesterday, I've lost track of time. There were lots of warthogs coming out of this thicket. There must be a little den in there, or maybe they were just grazing. It's a good spot to feed and keep out of the wind, I would imagine. Oh, everybody's late. I haven't seen any elephants just up top. Just the buffalo that would never have left the marsh. I think they just hang around here permanently these days. Right, let me scan in between the trees. Well, there's lots of hippo pathways. It's amazing what happens with the grass being so tall. Can't see a lot of the termite mounds anymore. No, nothing. Lots of warthogs popping out though. But no lion just yet. Let's go around. No, nothing. Nothing down there. I don't know where she is. Okay, well we'll keep scanning around here. She's probably laying about somewhere. So we'll do a bit of investigating, trying to find her. It seems as though Ralph's cheetah are now not on the termite mound, but are instead crouching, staring into the distance.
Thanks, Taylor. And yes, everybody, these cheetah that have just they've been walking across the plain, and they've been marking. They've also spotted a topi off in the distance. Now, sorry for the pole there. We'll be repositioning in a minute, but the topi has spotted them from a far way off. So I don't know. The one seems to be having a look, but it is great that they are at least seemingly hungry because of the way that they are having a look at the topi. So we're quite excited. I am going to just reposition, folks, because we might miss this. Sorry about that. Okay, as we watch them go across, we're just going to see from here, but as you can see, that topi is very far off in the distance, but they're all now starting to jog and move forward. So we're going to let them just go a little bit, folks, and then I'm going to try and catch up with them and head up in front. All right, because they're jogging now, and that topi can lead them towards maybe where there's some other animals. But I think we might be in for a little bit of fun here, everybody. Okay, so I am going to start up, and we're going to try and get ahead. All right, so hold on, let's do this. Now, they were just marking as they were going this morning, but now it seems that they've started to focus a little bit on potential food, which is fantastic. Topi's quite a fast animal for them, but cheetah are obviously very fast as well, but that topi's kept the distance between them. However, that one in front does seem to be quite intent on following that topi. So let's see. Now, Charles, you're wondering what different types of food do cheetah eat? Well, they can eat anything from a scrub hare or tiny little, even little lizards and so on, all the way up to wildebeest and sort of smallish zebra. I've never seen cheetah taking on very big zebra, but exactly what I've said, this seems to be the largest coalition that I've ever come across, and so they could potentially take down the largest prey that I've ever seen them do. And anything's possible, but the topi does seem quite optimistic, but let's see. Maybe they've identified, maybe it's got a bit of a limp or something, but there is some prey up in front here, folks, and these cheetah are making their way towards it. So I don't want to give away their position either, but they are very intent on one specific individual. So we're just trying to keep up with them. Right, I'm just going to get into position here, and then we're going, but you see this topi keeps on moving forward, but we've got all sorts now in front of us, everybody, so there's potential for a wonderful scene here. So I think let's stop here for a little while. Now, sorry about the vehicles in the background. Everybody is also wanting to be a part of the action, and there is everybody moving behind. Luckily for us, we have very special off-road permits, so those vehicles do need to stick to the road. So you are watching from a very special angle that not many people get to see it from. Now, there is a lot of prey animals out here in front of them, and there is every potential of them taking all sorts, but it seems like a lot of them have also spotted these cheetah and have shifted off, but there are some that are still not so aware, so there's every chance. All we have to do for the minute is watch and wait, but the one individual did lead this little expedition or hunt that seemed to have started. And I don't know from experience or because I've never watched these cheetah hunting. Now, Jen Video, you're wondering if it's normal for cheetah to hunt in a group. It's not normal or usual. Well, it's not particularly unusual in the sense that they can do it, but for me, it's unusual to have such a large group of cheetah hunting together. Normally you can have a mother with her cub who can even land up being an adult, still staying with her. You can have coalition of 2 males, 3 males, but this is the largest group of cheetah that I've ever seen. Remember that cheetah are also the second most gregarious cat after lions, but that doesn't make them stay in big groups like lions do. But they can stay in 1 to 5. Now, Catherine, you're wondering if these 5 cheetah are expected to stay together or separate? Well, Catherine, for me, as the days wear on and this coalition becomes stronger, I think that they will stay together. So my expectation is that they would stay together, but there might be other clever people that tell you otherwise. But the feeling is that with 5 of them, they have 5 times more the chance of catching what they go after and protecting their territory, and so very difficult for another male to come in here and unseat these 5. I think everybody would be staying well clear of this coalition. So it is a fantastic idea for them to get together and stay together. But you can always have quarrels and tiffs, especially over females and over food. So it all depends on what happens on the day. Maybe they go a little while without having eaten, and maybe a female enters interest, and they to and anything can happen. But for now, it seems a very strong, well-knit unit. But they seem to have now given up on that little idea of hunting. They've turned around and they're going in the other direction. So we might need to go and catch up with them again. But the idea that they are thinking about hunting is fantastic, because if they catch anything unaware, I think they could definitely take it down. Now, Tammy, thank you very much for your comment, saying that you just love watching these guys. They're so clever and smart, and they are brilliant at what they do. But that was, I think, a little bit of a silly move where the topi spotted them, and then he actually gave away their position. But right, folks, I'm going to start up. We're going to head off towards them again. So join me and Craig as we go and catch up with these cheetah once again and see what they get up to. So, folks, I think we're going to be spending quite a lot of time today with these cheetah, and we're going to see what the musketeers' escapades are for today. But speaking of topi and giving away their position, I think Taylor has got a lovely herd of the same to show you.
A topi that can climb trees. We've got baboons up in the tree, and this one is very funny, watching it shimmy up and down. It's a youngster that thinks it's big and brave enough and doesn't need any adult supervision at the moment. And there's a whole troop of them. And then you may have seen a tail swinging as well, just to the right. And we were watching that baboon come down. Just behind that impala, there's an elephant as well. It's a very pretty scene that we have at the moment, and a scene that you can find almost every single time if you come along these forests, as you'll find all the olive baboons, you'll see the impala, the elephants, and there are some topi. There are a couple of them around here, not a very big herd, but just a few of them. Here comes the big male as well, topi. Yeah, he just sort of walks in there, head raised, all the girls smitten over him. He's much bigger than the girls too. He's much more muscly. It's as if he says, "Who gave you permission to graze on my little mound? Get off of it. This is where I stand all day." And announce to the other topi that these are my ladies and my termite mound. My forest, my grass, my everything. The goats of the Mara. And that big male does look like Billy Goat Gruff as well, because he's got a bit of a tuft of hair on his chin. You'll see, especially with those very big eyes and preorbital glands. It almost makes it look like they've got two pairs of eyes there. But it's a good area to be in. There is so much food, there's shelter, there's water. I'm not surprised that we are seeing so many animals gathering around the bends of the forest. And then, of course, the baboons are quite happy with it because a lot of these trees are fruiting at the moment. So they don't have to go searching for food. And then there's nice green grass shoots as well, which they'll be feeding on. Not too many flowers at the moment, though, so that won't be a huge part of their diet. But that's okay. There's a couple of them actually just playing on those branches. You can see them pushing one another around. I'm going to be careful up there, though, especially if they are young. They could fall out of the tree. It's a good, quick way to break some bones, although I feel like baboons are resilient creatures and they could bounce back quite easily as well. Well, nice browse line, courtesy of the giraffe, and I'm sure the elephants too, trying to stretch up. Poor birds, if there are any nests in there, they'll get woken up. Look at them go, look at those baboons on the branch. Those two. One another around. I've got a massive male. That was quite nice to watch, but definitely one that's coming up in the ranks. And then there's another two now that are up in those branches that we were just sort of looking at. And they've sort of taken the stance as well, where I think they might play with one another. It seems as though the gremlins are attacking us. Sorry for the picture breakup over there. Just a minute ago, there they go again. They're going to go down. Look how nimble they are. That's incredible. Now you can't see much because now they're bouncing throughout the branches. I don't know what's got them all stirred up. Well, I suppose it's just like us. Sometimes you feel a bit playful, you know, more times than others. The one coming back up the branches. He's just decided to... There's one just sitting in the fork of that tree now. Now they've settled down slightly. And there's even a warthog coming out of the thicket too, just at the base of that tree that we're looking at, behind the baboons. You'll see that there's also a warthog. It's coming out now. He's just to the right of the tree, but he'll come out towards the left. Come on, warthog. Okay. The warthog doesn't want to come out just yet because I think he's found some delicious thing to feed on. There's a little piglet. However, Noel down in South Africa has also found something quite precious in the middle of the road.
We're playing chicken with a squirrel. We're going to see who moves first. It'll most likely be the squirrel, not us. It's interesting, usually when they sit on the side of the road like this, they just check things and then they run across. This little squirrel, this little tree squirrel, has decided that it's going to stand put, and I think it has to do with the fact that the sun is finally peeking out from behind these clouds. It also might... there we go. It might just have been having a bit of a look out there, and then also just trying to see what we were up to before it heads off down the road. Now, you saw that the way that it ran there. It's a very specific pattern. It's a bounding pattern. So it's both front feet and then both back feet come, and it actually goes in front of the front feet there. I actually want to drive down just a little bit, and I want to see if we can see these tracks. The road might be a little bit too hard, but we might just get a view of that bounding pattern. It's a very, very distinctive pattern. And a very specific foot structure as well. I think the soil is not good enough. There's a little bit too much extra activity. I'll see if I can find a better space for us to possibly view that at some point. Maybe not this morning, maybe... Oh, there, it's over on the dung. Tammy, you're wondering what type of squirrel that was. Tammy, here in Djuma, we only get one type of squirrel. We just get a tree squirrel. This is him here. In other parts of South Africa, you'll get tree squirrels as well as ground squirrels. Now, he was picking away at that elephant dung, and now he's up on the side of this pushed over tree, this little dead tree there, possibly looking for insects. They also cache seeds inside of places like this. So they'll live inside of dead trees, and then they'll also have a little cache in a place nearby. And sometimes they have several caches around. You can actually see at the base of some marula trees, sometimes where they've been busy taking out all of the nuts from the marula fruits and then moving them away. And now he's having a nice little a nice little scratch. He would also have been quite wet. I'm sorry, this is too good. He would have also been quite wet this morning with the drizzle. So now, again, with the sun being out, as he's foraging and moving around, he's definitely having a good time. That bark will be a little bit warmer. I'm sure he's got ticks on him, and I'm sure he has a few parasites on the outside there that itch him a bit, and so he's grooming himself to get rid of them and eating them, apparently. If anyone's ever seen that animated movie Up, every time I see tree squirrels, all I think about is that dog that talks so eloquently, and then all of a sudden goes, "Squirrel!" and runs off. Now he's going up the tree here. Let's see if possibly his nesting hole might be inside of here. And again, perching to catch the sun a little bit. On cold winter mornings, you'll see them coming out and perching just like that and warming up in the sunlight. Something we don't see often here, we don't have a lot of rocks, but is rock dassies. They're actually related to an elephant, but they look a bit like a guinea pig. And they have a hard time warming up, so they'll go on the outside of their little rock outcrops, similar to what the squirrel is doing now. And they stand there, and it's always facing east, and that's how they warm up. All right. Now, this squirrel has given us quite a show. If there was a leopard like Tundi around, this squirrel would also be going to... Now, let's head back up to Taylor, who has baboons who are busy going crazy with alarm calls for hopefully a predator.
At the moment, I saw something that I've never ever seen in my entire life. Now, from what I can make out, these all seem to be young males that are in this tree and feeding on the fruit, but also playing with one another. They're sort of just roughhousing at the moment, so it's quite entertaining. They're pushing and shoving, trying to make each other fall out of the tree, biting and scratching one another. See, they're getting quite rough with one another. This is amazing. It's not often that we get to see this, but one of the tactics that the other baboon used, which I thought was very unfair, and there's no other way to put it, but essentially one baboon grabbed the other by his man bits and then proceeded to tug at them, but pull really, really hard. And the other baboon didn't even care, which was quite interesting to see. And then eventually I think he was a bit painful, and then fought back again. Here comes another one. They're all sliding down the tree now that we were just on. Oh, I thought you were going to run. You slid down that tree very quickly, very dramatically. There's lots of baboons here. Lots and lots and lots of them. And then they settle down. And that warthog on the left, you can see, is just keeping an eye out on the warthogs. I mean, on their baboons. Not quite sure. Now, one thing you must remember with baboons is that they do eat a multitude of different things. And, well, impala, young warthog piglets, they're all one of them. So it's a good thing that she is a little bit wary of them. They do look like they're suckling at the moment, but it'd be quite easy for a big male to come charging in and grab one of those piglets, although I'm sure Mom would put on a bit of a... Now, Lisa, you're wondering what is the primary predator for a baboon? Most of the time it tends to be us as humans, and then in terms of cats, it will be the leopards. However, baboons out grazing in open area also vulnerable to other predators, of course, like lions. But it's typically the leopards that will go for them. Big eagles as well swoop down and grab some youngsters that are sitting up feeding on the edges of the branches. So they have to be very, very careful. So baboons don't just have predators on the ground, but they also have them in the trees and in the sky. But they are equipped with incredible senses. They are so quick. They're able to climb trees. They can run fast. They can fight back. So they do have a good chance, of course, of getting away. That one just sitting and scanning surroundings, having a good scratch every now and then. The animals are very itchy at the moment. I still haven't quite worked out what on earth is biting them at the moment. So they've all been scratching away a fair amount. Here come another 2 baboons marching on in. One looks like a male up in front. Again, not a big boy though. So I don't know if he's going to be part of the super troop that'll be in charge of this family of baboons. We've seen some much bigger boys. Looks like he's still got a little bit of growing to do. Perhaps one of the up-and-coming fellas. Learning the way of life from the older boys. Young topi, old topi. You name it, they're all here. All the animals are here. The very fluffy baboon that's just walking past the topi now. And then our baboon that was on watch has also come down the tree and is walking. Roxy, you're wondering, you sound very concerned as well. Why do the warthogs in the Sabi Sand run away when you stop to look at them, but the warthogs in the Mara don't? And actually, speaking of warthogs, there's some coming out right in front of the car. That family we just saw, they've run away from the baboons and are now trying this way around. You should see the pigs to follow suit shortly. The warthogs here run away from us all the time. I think it's just because I've been sitting in the sighting for a little while now, and see the baboons are getting very close to those piglets to the left. Mom, are you watching out for your youngsters? Be careful where the pigs run. Not staying too close to the baboons. So I think it's just the distance that we're sitting at the moment. I often find when you find warthogs, sometimes it's best to leave your engine on. Right, that's not a girl, unfortunately. That was just a dominance display there, everybody. No need to get excited. So yeah, so a number of different reasons. It's very open here in the Sabi Sand. It's quite dense, so maybe they feel a little bit on the nervous side when you do stop going, wait, what, are you looking at us, or are you looking at a lion that's looking at us? And then they run away. That's what most of the animals will do. If they feel uneasy, they tend to flee. They tend to just run or freeze. They either do one or the two. Not very often that they end up turning around and fighting back. And the female, that sow, was actually looking at us, that warthog. She's worried about us at the moment with her piglets. She kept stopping, staring, and I think she's realized that I'm not moving now, so I'm not going to bother her. She can carry on with her time. But we do have more sightings out here, and I reckon it's just got to do with the fact that it is so open. Those baboons are getting very close to those piglets. I suppose they do live in close quarters constantly. Yes, careful, because if he wants to, he will just grab you and eat you. They do that with impala all the time. I wouldn't see why they wouldn't do it with a little warthog snack either. Anyways, those are the ones who've got a lot to learn. So I see some elephants moving away into the forest. Perhaps we'll go around and try and get a view of them. But while we get a closer look, Ralph is still with the cheetah on the other side of the river.
Thanks, Taylor. And look at this, everybody. They found themselves a dead tree, and the musketeers are obviously utilizing every chance that they get to mark their territory. And so they're jumping on top, and they are urinating, they're defecating, they're smelling, they're sniffing. It's all about the marking and the territories, isn't it? And that's a wonderful view of them up there. Some of them were really struggling to get onto a point where they could... there we go. Some more still going on, but I don't know how they're holding or still got anything left, because they've been doing quite a lot of that. Now, winter prisoner, you're wondering if there's a difference between the urination or the urine, which is used for marking, or that which they normally urinate. And no, winter prisoner, not particularly. It's all still within the urine of the male, so he's not literally using any different sense or anything when he's urinating just for urinating versus when he's urinating urinating for territory. So it's all the same. It's just they're getting that smell out there, and it does include all the smells of all the relevant smells that they would like to be marking. Remember, that's a lovely signpost for them to leave, and it leaves a very long scent for them. So they defecate, they urinate, they can also scratch with their back legs. So they're using a visual sign, they're using an olfactory sign, and so it does extend off a message that extends off into the future. Now I'm just going to spin around so that we can get a better view of them, folks. Now, Jared, you've asked a very pertinent and clever question, actually. How do they spray their urine backwards? Well, Jared, it's very similar to a lot of the animals in the animal kingdom. The penis is directed backwards at rest, so that they can do exactly that. It's also like rhinos. Their penis also directed backwards, and only when it is erect does it sort of turn the corner and come forwards. So it's nicely situated for them to spray out the back merely by lifting the tail, and then obviously when there is time for copulation, it would come around the corner, if I can say that. So yes, but it is quite strange that the urine is directed straight backwards, and that's all down to the positioning of the penis at the time. Alright, these guys are still on the move, which is lovely, but we do need to keep repositioning, so we try and anticipate where they're going, we try and get a little bit ahead, and we also try and see if they've spotted any prey. They are moving into a little bit of a thicket, I believe, so there is every chance that they might also go for a little sleep, but we'll see what happens. And we're not going to be leaving them just yet, because it's too exciting not to leave these boys. And I can't wait to see them on the hunt for real, because I think that was a little bit of a half-hearted effort that we had earlier. Right, folks, so while I do a little bit of anticipating and trying to get ahead of them and get a better view for all of us, let's head you on back to Tristan and see if he's had any more luck finding those leopards.
No luck for us. Sorry, Seb. We've had nothing this morning. We've had no sort of sign of anything, no luck in terms of any animals whatsoever. So I'm a bit jealous at the moment of Ralph and Taylor. They seem to have had a really rollicking morning, which I suppose it goes like that. Sometimes the Mara's a little quiet and we're busy this side. Sometimes we're, quiet and they're busy that side. But I must be honest, those 5 cheetahs seem like the most insane things. I've had long chats with Scott and James and, well, everybody that's come back from the Mara about those 5 cheetah, and everybody seems to be absolutely loving them. So I'm a little jealous that Ralph is spending some time with them today. I wouldn't mind seeing the 5 cheetah. Oh, hello, little steenbokkie. There's something with a heartbeat, Seb. Isn't this exciting? This is very exciting. We found ourselves an animal. Oh no, it ran away. There it goes. So you can see that we were not lying. There is indeed a steenbok running away from me. But that is about the sum total of excitement this morning. We have found ourselves a steenbok running away from us. It's about the best we possibly could do with what has happened today. One of those mornings, I suppose. It's okay though, it's all good. We're going to have a situation where you never know. The sun made a brief appearance just now. Hopefully it's going to warm up, which will drive some of the animals to get out of bed and decide to come and do a little show for us. And well, we've also got the situation where Shadow and Cub and Hosanna are on that kill, and so between the 3 of them I'm hoping they clean that kill up very quickly today, and then hopefully they come north. One of them at least out of the 3 decides to come north onto our side, and then we'll have them around, and hopefully that will be the sort of plan for the afternoon, because otherwise I'm that's a loss as to what we're going to look for, because so far there's very little in terms of signs of anything being around. There's not even any tracks for ellies that I've found, so it's a little bit on the tough side, but I'm sure we'll have some luck this afternoon. It's generally the case. Right, well, I'm going to start heading home. I'm going to try and see what is lurking around the breakfast table, but while I do that, let's go back across to Taylor, who's doing a bit of birding.
Hello, so you may have heard me chatting away there to Adrian. Adrian is learning the bush now. He is getting his spotting eyes on, so I was just teaching him the names of the various birds. It obviously comes in handy, especially when you're logging all your footage, and it's a bit of a pain to run around trying to ask someone to identify the animals for you. So he gets to learn about wildlife as well. But we've got a variety of avian species here, from the grey heron right to the yellow-billed storks, the greater egrets, the African sacred ibis. There were also some hardy-dar ibises, and then to the left, one of my favorites is the marabou stork, who is just standing amongst his very pretty feathered friends. He must feel very ugly. No, like, I mean, it's terrible to say, of course, but imagine just standing there surrounded by all these birds that are just so special. Don't worry, marabou stork, the hardy-dars, or the ibis collection that's there, can't sing very well. So luckily, they're going to hopefully stay silent for you. But essentially, this is a type of food party as well. We obviously see lots of different food parties moving through the forest, flying at different levels, chasing butterflies up, chasing grasshoppers down. But they'll all be stirring up their insects in this area too. And there'll be lots of things, from fish to little crabs. I'm sure there must be little crabs. And yeah, I see the crabs in the streams when we go safari parkouring. We see lots of them. And snakes, there most certainly would be. And of course we know the grasshoppers and things like that. So they'll be feeding on a variety of insects. Although the marsh must be drying out quite a bit, because we haven't had any decent rain. And it's like a sponge. So as quickly as it absorbs water, it also loses it and doesn't hold it very well. Well, it holds it better than normal grass, of course. There's a little egret coming on in. And they're going to have to find somewhere else to go, so they might have to start heading back towards the banks of the Maya River, because when this dries up, there's no real point hanging around, because there's no little frogs. They've all moved on, you know, fish and things, and little terrapins would also move on if it becomes hard mud. And then that's when we start to see the African sacred ibis and the greater egrets all feeding along the Maya River. However, I think they prefer to be here. I think there's a lot more food around in this area, and it's why they come to it when there is rain and when it is saturated, because they have a better chance of feeding here. And only when they're desperate do they head to the unfavorable areas. The marabou stork does not look impressed though. I'm sure it would rather be picking on something larger. But there's no carcasses for it to go and scavenge on. I wonder if they ever get armored ground crickets here, because they're amazing. And I always talk about them in Zambia, and maybe somebody can Google a picture. I could also Google a picture. I will Google a picture of an armored ground cricket, because they're so funny. And it was one of my favorite things, was watching the marabou storks and the Abdom storks feed in massive flocks, eating them. Armored ground crickets. And they would get on your clothes as well. How scary looking things. Now I must find the scariest picture that I can find. But of course, not everybody's trying to pick insects that are sitting on grass. Of course, you can see those ibises have got very long probing bills, which they will use. Okay, let me show you very quickly this picture of the armored ground cricket. There you can have a look. There we go. It's a scary looking thing. And they're big. They really, really are massive too. And big spines. You can see why they're called armored ground crickets. So I'm just tapping that so that the screen doesn't die down. But I would say about even bigger. I mean, that's sitting on the edge of a person's thumb, I reckon. That's taking up more than half of their finger. So very, very big. Very juicy, got lots of taste in them. I'm going to take my phone away now. There we go. Now, sorry, Rebecca, can you repeat to me what you said just a moment ago? I do apologize. I get distracted by the sound of my own voice most of the time, and then I can't hear what you guys are saying. And my ears are very blocked. But it was something about Maurice. Ah, there we go. Now, Kobold, you were wondering where Maurice has been hiding. Maurice has been told he has to sit in his box. He's too distracting. He's too much of a distraction to me, I'm afraid, Kobold. So he's here. He is around. I'll try and sneak him in. And where can I sneak him in? I was going to try and get him with the birds, but it's okay. You can see me as well. You probably just want to see Maurice, as he's a lot more entertaining than what I am. But there's Maurice, still very dirty, waiting to go back to South Africa to get his first wash. Maurice, back in your cupboard. And he goes again. Feeding around here. Although you would have noticed, though, that the gathering of birds is a lot less, because a few weeks ago when we came down here, there were just hundreds and hundreds of different bird species. Even the Abdom storks that have been fluttering around at the moment have not come up this way. They've all sort of been hanging around the other marshy sections closer towards the escarpment. We seem to be, if we're getting any rain, it's happening up on the hill, not necessarily down here. And I think a lot of that water is then running down. And obviously the closer you are to the escarpment, the more moist it seems to be. But it is still nice and lush and green here. But for all of you birders, I can't tell you how much I recommend this. You have to come to the marsh. It's one of the most exquisite places, and especially when the marsh has got water in, to just do birding. It's spectacular. But I kind of prefer it about 2 months ago, and the reason why I say that is because the grass has obviously grown quite a bit, and I think there's lots and lots of birds that we're actually missing that could be down in this area. Like, I wonder if we get any ruffs here. Not ruffs. Buff. Oh no, I've forgotten what they're called. Hang on, stand by. It's a species of bird that I've not seen for a long time. I used to see them down in the Eastern Cape a lot. It wasn't a ruff. Well, we did see ruffs down in the Eastern Cape, but I'm just trying to remember. Buff-chested. I can't find it. And there's these other little things that kind of look like Franklins. They're really cool, and for the life of me, I cannot remember what type of bird it was, but I shall investigate in my book at some point. How have I managed to forget what that bird is called? That is crazy. I bet you're all laughing at me now and going, we know exactly what you're talking about, Taylor. I'll find it just now. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep searching in my book. I don't think we'll move away from the swamps because I do want to show you the type of bird I'm talking about. And maybe fluff-tails. Fluff-tails. That's what I was talking about. Could not for the life of me remember the name fluff-tails. So we used to see a few of them. Buff-spotted fluff-tail. That's what I was talking about. Let me show you very quickly because, I was panicking there for a minute. So one that we used to see on a regular basis, which was quite a nice one, was this one, and that is number 4. Where are you? 4 is at the bottom of the page. So they're pretty little birds, particularly the male, as you can imagine. That sort of rustish colour on the head and on the breast, and then the mottled black and yellow gold or streak is quite pretty. Let's see if there's any that occur here. White spotted fluff-tail just in the southwestern corner, which is this one. We won't be seeing that. Let me just quickly check. Let's turn over. What about the red-chested fluff-tail? Possibility of maybe seeing this one, which is over here. That's probably our best bet. So we'll keep an eye out for them. And they like these types of areas, sort of grasslands, marshes, and they're quite small. They're not particularly big. I mean, this one's saying it's only about 16 centimeters in terms of size. So that is very, very small. Very, very small indeed. Right, well, we'll carry on and see what else we can find. Maybe we find a herd of elephants just feeding along the marsh. Rolf, however, has got cheetah hiding in the bushes.
Thanks, Taylor. Yes, and those cheetah are really hiding in the bushes. They are looking out, however, and we're just going to have it there because they are in the thicket, but they have been looking out and just scanning across the plain. They might, however, be ready to bed up. So we might be spending the rest of the afternoon in this position, maybe a little bit closer, and we'll have our little cheetah stakeout once more, myself and Craig, and we'll have the coffee and hobnobs at the ready. But while we are sitting here, we might as well just scan across the plain as the cheetah are doing, because there's the odd animal around, and there's one of our sinister hyena, one of my favorite animals in the world. I'm already missing my hyena den on the other side, but we'll have to go and catch up with him maybe tomorrow morning. But these hyena, they could be a potential problem for the cheetah. And so I hear that, Dr. Rob, you wanted to have a look at what the landscape looks around the area. So you can see, Dr. Rob, that it's a lot more short grass on this side in comparison to the Mara Triangle. This has obviously been grazed quite a bit more by all the antelope and hasn't grown back quite yet. And there we have some buffalo. And so it's a lot shorter and a lot easier for us to spot the animals, especially the cats. They're normally in and around the little lagas, which is the donga-like or gully areas where you have a little bit of water and then lots of croton thickets and some trees. And so that's where the cats generally hang around. So what we do is we go from valley to valley and then work along the lagas. And there's some buffalo moving through. I was chatting with Craig, and he said, because I was saying, why don't these 5 guys just have a go at one of these buffalo? And they definitely wouldn't have to outrun them. And they could get very close to them very quickly and be able to jump all over them, but it's a very big prey for them. And Craig said that he has seen Malika attempt to get a little calf away from buffalo, but the female mommy was very protective, and she didn't let her get anywhere near the little youngster. So buffalo are very protective of their young, and cheetah, I think, don't stand a real chance of bringing one down. But it would be interesting to see with 5 cheetah, however, how their chances would fare. But it's quite a risky business, because buffalo have got a very hefty set of horns, and if one of those pierces one of these cheetah, you'll probably see it flying in the sky as it gets whipped up by that very strong neck. And I would say that buffalo are definitely the prop forwards of rugby in the wilderness, because of that thick set neck and shoulders. They are like tanks as well, very similar to rhino in their build. Rhino probably one better, but these are probably a couple of old Duggar boys, so the bulls that have been left behind by the herd. They're still not very weak in any way whatsoever. And if you see the size of those horns, you'd be worried as well as a potential predator. And lions need to be very careful when they're attacking or trying to kill buffalo, because even an old, wary buffalo such as this, you think he's on his last legs the way that he's walking, but I can tell you, put a lion in front of him and you'll see him being hop-skippity-jump, just like a little youngster. And those lions will have to be on their best if they are to take him down. But wonderful scene. You see that lovely landscape, nice green grass everywhere, and that's why the antelope and all the animals like to come onto these patches, because it's lovely new shoots that are coming through, and very often you can have quite heavy grazing then when that happens, because they actually keep it at this length, and as it starts to come through, well, then they bite it off and chew on it once more. But lovely colors as well, as the clouds start to break up a little bit and the sun starts to shine through. But as you can see, we've still got our jackets on, and it is quite cold. It's quite a wind chill in the air, and so it's going to be nice sitting with the cheetah on our stakeout, because the last time when I was out here with Manu, I got terribly sunburnt. But this time I think we'll be fine with our coffee and hobnobs. So you'll have to stay tuned and see if we pick up on any of the the cheetah movement. We're not going anywhere just yet. We're staying with these 5 musketeers, and we're going to see what they get up to. For now, they've spent the morning marking for anybody that missed it. And so they went from a position quite near to us, and they moved quite quickly, and they were marking, they were spraying, they were rubbing their feet. So with that you get obviously a scent and a visual sign from them, and with it being 5 in a coalition, there's obviously a real dominant feeling, and so they're not scared to show and mark everywhere. All right, folks, so as I said, we're not going anywhere. We're going to keep our eyes purely on these cheetah and see if they move anywhere. But from this lovely short green grass, let's head you on over to Taylor in the lovely long grass in the Mara Triangle.
That's exactly what we've got, is lots and lots of grass at the moment. No, I'm not sure what we're going to get up to for the rest of the day. I think it will be decided once we find the next animals, I think. So we'll be doing a lot of exploring in the Mara Triangle today. I think as much as we can. Go to areas where I haven't been before. There's still plenty of those, let me tell you, out and around here, especially down towards the border. And I think that is going to be our goals. We're going to head very slowly down in that direction and look for some cheetah, look for leucistic hyena, just a hyena in general would be quite nice. I'd like to go and visit that den. So there may be many opportunities for action broadcasts today. So make sure you've got your phones turned on loud so you can hear when that ping or whatever setting you've got, whatever sound you may have that will alert you when we go live. Because there could be lots from, not just my side of course, but from Ralph too. I don't know if he's going to be spending the morning out with the cheetah. They're always a good prospect. So yeah, so we'll just keep bumbling around until we start to see different things out here. I think this section might be a little bit quiet. Oh, Shady, you were actually wondering what we do when we are out all day. We kind of bumble about. We have so many snacks, you eat a lot. Because you, I don't know, just try and keep yourself busy. I know, so a lot of driving is involved. Stop and take pictures of random things. And yeah, just explore, pick up plants that you haven't seen before. Anything really. Sit and watch elephants for hours and hours. Look for weird insects. Anything you want, you can do. Might pop past Serena. I haven't had a cappuccino, so might go and have a cappuccino at Serena. How does that sound, Adrian? Adrian, I think, is also he's a coffee man. We had a coffee just now. We made some. Here's the remnants of the coffee. It was okay. It was okay. It wasn't great. It wasn't definitely not top-notch quality is what I was trying to say. Me and the spoonerisms, I'm so good at them. So yeah, so I would like to go and give Serena's cappuccinos a taste. I haven't. So perhaps this afternoon you'll get a rating of how great they are. We'll see. I've only heard good things about them though. So that would be quite nice. So we'll give them a little taste in a little bit. We're still quite far away from Serena, however. Now, Jared and Vicky wondering if it's possible to see the hyena den at any stage. Anything is possible. However, I don't think we're near that big hyena den that Rolf has spent some time at. That'll be one of the things I think we'll have a look at some point. So again, it could potentially turn into an action broadcast. This is why I say keep an eye out for those notifications for when we go live, because that might be one of them. It is a bit of a cooler day today. So the youngsters might be outside of the den just playing around or lounging about. I haven't been there, but I definitely would like to go and have a look at them. So perhaps that'll be after our cappuccino at Serena. And Serena's great. There's like a little shop there. If you need any body lotion or soap or toothbrush, you can get all those wonderful things there. I have all of those, so I don't need to be topping up on those items. But you never know. it's quite nice to go and browse. We don't get to go to the malls anymore, so we go to the little stop shops at the various lodges and see, ooh, what can we buy here? And the curio shops, the curio shops are a nightmare. You want to spend all your money on everything that's so pretty. But anyways, right, well, we're not having much luck in this section just yet. I'm keeping an eye out for those fluff tails now that I've remembered what they're called. Ralph's cheetah have decided to wake up though. I hope you enjoy the adventure that they take you on.
Thanks, Taylor. Yes, everybody, these cheetah have now just got up. It looks like they've locked sights on a topi, but it also looks like the front runner who had locked its sights on the topi is now laid down. That's all right. That's all right. At least there is quite a bit of movement. So I'm just going to potentially just shift the vehicle around a little bit so that we have a better view if they do burst out of the thicket here. So just hang on with me, everybody. Because there is a topi behind us now on the plain, and I just went and poked my nose into that thicket because I thought that they would be going down to bed. Now, I don't know if Craig can just go over there to have a look at what they were locking their eyes on, but I do still think that they're being over-optimistic. They are, however, now sneaking forward once more. So there's every chance that we might just be lucky here, and we do just need to sit tight and wait and see what happens. The topi is walking off. It doesn't know that they're there. And if we didn't know that they were there, how would you spot that? Look how well camouflaged they are in the thicket. Very difficult to see, hey? So, as usual with the cheetah, we play the waiting game. We put a line in the water and hope for a bite. Well, the line's in the water. Now we just need to get a decent bite. That's it. No, I seem to be lying down again, but it's all good. We need to just keep at it. They are in the right frame of mind. They do seem to be ready to hunt. It's all about the circumstances now. And if they stay in this thicket, obviously the antelope and animals moving around the area don't know that they're here. So as soon as they can spot something that is of the right distance from them and within reach, and then they can start the hunt. Now, Wildflower, you're saying that the show's about to end and maybe these cheetah are going to be active now. Well, Wildflower, please keep tuned onto the action broadcasts that are on Facebook, because if anything happens here, I'm going to be putting this immediately onto an action broadcast. So you'll be able to watch it whenever you like, and keep tuned on the Facebook page because it will pop up there if anything happens. So I'm not going anywhere, and if they don't hunt by this afternoon, I will still be here with them waiting and watching. So Wildflower, we've got all the bases covered just for you and for the rest of all the viewers, because we're not going to miss the action of these cheetah for today anyway. I've come across the river for exactly this, and Craig and I have made it our mission to try and get a cheetah kill on this exact mission. And we've got today. Tomorrow we're heading back into the triangle. Lovely to go back and see the hyena, but for today it is totally a cheetah mission, and we started off with the mom and her son. Now, Tammy, you're wondering if, with all these vehicles about, is it distract for these cheetah? Well, Tammy, luckily these boys, they are quite used to these vehicles, and also the vehicles, the drivers are quite respectful. Yes, there is a lot of movement around, and everybody's trying to get a nice angle for their for their photographs, etc. But these cheetah are very well habituated with the vehicles, and if everybody was parked, the cheetah weren't shying away from the vehicle. They actually walked right in between them. So if they were scared of them, I don't think that they would have done that, and they would have steered well clear. And so I don't think that it's a problem for them at all. I think they pretty much get this just about every day, and so I don't think it's really bothers them much anymore. As you would imagine, you do get used to things that happen to you on a daily basis. Maybe initially they were a bit put off, but I think now they're quite used to it, and it's not really a problem. As I say, with them just about walking up and marking on the vehicle, which would be quite hilarious. But one of these cheetah now is moving forward. They're all moving together through the thickets. So, and you see how they sort of crouch down a little bit. They're like slinking through the thickets. So it's definitely in a hunting mode, everybody. All we can do is follow them, hey? And hope for murder. No, that's not very nice, but it's a bit of a dichotomy, isn't it? You really don't want to hope for an animal to die, but you do want to hope that we can witness what these cheetah need to do to survive and to feed. And that's all we're doing. We're not hoping for the death of anything. We're just merely hoping to witness the real exciting moments in the life of a cheetah. So, okay, folks, there is going to be a little bit of movement of vehicles now, and I'm going to maybe just change my position. So sorry for that. There's a little bit of change and everybody shifting around as these cheetahs start to move. But remember, once again, there's only a few of us that are allowed to drive off-road, so we do get a little bit of a special angle on these cats, and everybody else needs to stay on the road. So we're just repositioning here. We don't want to also block the view of the cheetah. Okay, so what I want to do here is just give you a last little view of these cheetah, and just so that I can give you a little bit of a taster that there's every potential that these cheetah are going to hunt, and but we're heading towards the end of the show, so you're going to have to stay tuned for either the action broadcasts or this afternoon's show to see what has happened next. Thank you, folks. I'm going to head you on over to Taylor, who is waiting to say goodbye.
I don't want to say goodbye though, but I don't think this is going to be goodbye. I think we're going to have an action-packed filled day. So I think it will be lots and lots of fun. Let's see who we've got next. I think I can see an Egyptian goose just up ahead. We'll stop just here. It's another marshy section and have a little squiz. Who knows? Maybe our Malachite kingfisher friend will be lurking about. Oh, look, it's the ibises. Always with the ibises. They're always around, aren't they? And some herons and some chachand gooses and lots of other little birds that we probably can't see moving around down in the marshy area. But it has been a spectacular game drive this morning from all the wonderful things you've seen down in the Sabi sand with Noel and Tristan. Thank you to the two of you. I hope that you keep nice and warm and it warms up for the sunset safari. However, the sun is out. You can see it shining on the backs of these beautiful birds. So join us again this afternoon where we'll be out and about searching for lots of cats. Until then, we'll see you later.